Howdy, folks. Continuing my efforts to do all of the ever daily targets from CSSBattle.dev. These are retro CSS battles, daily targets from the past. June 14th, June 15th, and June 16th. Some interesting designs there. Let's get right to it. I think given these shapes, I want to do paragraphs. But do I? I don't know. Let's see what it takes to do this. Yeah, let's see what it takes to do this as a paragraph element, and we'll do the first one and see what that looks like. So I think we want margins to put this in place. I want to have a background like so, and I want border radius. Right, that's how you get a shape like that. So let's use margins on the body, 6, 7, 8, to narrow that down. Now they kind of, it looks, if this is the shape, then there's two of them and they overlap a little bit. So that's the tricky part of this. I mean, there's no part of it's simple, but that's the part that seems a little more trickier than the other. So let's change the height. 60 is too short, 70, 80. That looks dead on, doesn't it? Which is pretty good. That means that I can use a radial gradient to create the inner circles. It also looks like maybe if I create a second one, it's not, and I just increase the margin at the top, it might just work. But let's check that out. It needs to be verified. Circle. That color, if it's 80 and it's inset, maybe this is like a 30 pixel radius, and then the dark blue. So that's probably too big. So 20 looks right. So then how do we get that shape? We set it at 0, 0, and then give it a width. So that's 40 pixels is one way to do it. 40. So we want to get the spacing right. 6, 7, 8, and 100, 110, 120. And then we use spacing here, minus 20 pixels. And that is correct. That sure looks right. And that means we don't need the Y axis part of the background position. So this means if we make a second one, we get the same shape again, and then we can alter that. So P plus P to I2, and then a margin 0, minus 10, 0. So because if we just do minus 10, then we're making it grow out of the body's margins, and that's no good. So we need a 0, or we need an auto to make sure it's centered. But because we're doing what we're doing on the margin on the body, we need to put a 0 there. So let's do a minus 10, 20, 30, 40, 35 maybe. Is that the number? How about 33? 34, 35, 36. And let's check it out. Let's see if that does it. And it does. So we'll minify, to replace, resubmit. A nice, elegant solution to a fairly complicated shape. What was that, like a gasket? Something between two pieces in a bike, like the end of a bike. Anyway, all right, so here we got I think we're also going to be using border radii, and let's use very similar techniques. These are two very different shapes, right? We have a start shape and a top shape, and we have a border here. How about a border 10 pixels solid, and then it's this light color, and then a border radius. And that first thing is pretty small. Maybe it's like 10 pixels. And now let's do exactly what we did on the other one, which is set margins 100, 60, 60, 160, 70, 180, 190, 180, 185, no, 175, 175. Okay, so now here's where it gets interesting. So I would like to set as few things as possible in terms of values, right? This is code golf. I would like to make as few CSS declarations as possible. I can set a height and be very specific and say it's 10 pixels or 30 pixels tall to get it very precise. I can also set a border radius of 10 pixels, 10 pixels, 0, 0, right? To do that. But let's avoid doing that. Let's set it at 10 pixels, and then let's create this second element. And his margins are going to be different. P plus P. We're going to use that trick that we saw of altering the margins. And we alter those margins and we create this to be negative, minus 100, minus 150, let's say, and then minus 100. Then we can create that shape in a new way. 4, 45, 35, 36, 1, 2, 3, no, 80, 70, 60, 50. And then he's got to have a body, background color. So this background color is also this bright color. And his height is more. Height. Okay. And is there any reason that we can't have this be 130 as well? 130? Since now we know the height, both have a height of that, and then we can use margins to move him up more. Yeah. And then we are obliged to change the border radius, because this object definitely has different border radiuses, radius. So we can do a var dash dash r, or 10 pixels. And then the dash dash r on this one is maybe the same, 10 pixels again, 10 pixels again, and then some bigger number, 50 pixels, 50 pixels. Yeah. Let's submit that. We don't have any set margins on this paragraph tag, the first one, and that's a solution. Let's minify and unit replace, no units to replace there, and then resubmit. And that's how you make a handbag. That's a fun one. Super fun. All right, next. This has me thinking about the nested template, so I'm going to create an object there. So the yellow on the HTML tag, that's what that is, and then I'm going to set an initial color of this big orange, and then I'm going to use margins to put this into place. 30, no, 20, 10, 15, no, 25. Oh, this is way wrong. What do we get here? These are not the right numbers. 50, 51, 52. Okay, so that's good. How about 0, 1, 2? Okay. So we've got that set. I think the way I'm seeing this is as a conic gradient. Two conic gradients. Conic gradient, which is from 90 degrees and then it's transparent, and I'm doing the top, this pattern first, and that's 25% of that, or 90 degrees worth, 25%, and then the orange. Yeah, and that's at the top corner, 0, 0, and then it's got a width, 100 pixels, and a height, 100 pixels, let's say. And then let's put a no repeat on that so that we can see what we were making. So that's the part that I want to make. I think we need it at 10 pixels, 10 pixels. Yep. And it needs to be not as wide, 90, and taller, 2, 3, 4, 140 tall. Then, when I let it repeat, that's the shape I get. Well, now I need its opposite, which is going to go right on top of that. And this, I need another conic gradient that's similar but not the same at all. And this conic gradient is only going to be repeating on the x-axis. It's not going to repeat all the way. And it has to start at that same edge, the left edge, but it has to come down. So I think that the height of it is going to be, so the height of that repeating pattern is 140. I think it's at 150 pixels down. And it also has the same size. I think it's got the same size as that pattern. All right, let's see if I've got that right. Maybe I don't, maybe I do. It's okay, so let's do a similar again. And then this solid color, 25%. And then the yellow explicitly, because we're covering, we can't use transparent. And we don't see anything because no comma there. Okay, and that's also that solution. Is that it? That is it. So yes, the nested template, right? We're using CSS nesting, where one thing is inside of the other thing. In this case, it's the HTML tag and the body tag. We minify, we unit replace those plugins available on GitHub, and resubmit, and that is a solution to 3 more of these. Very intuitive, and that's a better score than I've gotten in the past. So yes, this could be done with elements. Yes, it could. Let's for fun, let's do that. What would it look like to create elements with these attributes, and how would we do it? I think that if we have no background and we have elements that are yellow, so P, Y, let's say, actually P, so 3 of them, and then 3 more, but this one's got other attributes, and we put a color on the background of a var --c or a color, and they all have to have widths 40. Let's say width 40, and ones with the attribute B are orange. --c of that. You can't see any of those, but now we're going to say display flex, and we're saying a gap of 10 pixels. We said 10 pixels, but we want to let them wrap. Flex wrap. Nothing is wide enough yet to quite do that, and we have a problem with the borders, right? So because these have shared borders, like, that's not going to work for us. But and if we did, well, there's a lot. These are such basic shapes. There are many ways to do it. I'm going to follow the thread that I'm pulling here, and we'll just see where we get. I'm going to go ahead and add to the body a background. so we can kind of see this slightly better. 10, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then 150, 60, 60, 70. Okay, and then the width of each one of these is wider. 6, 7, 8, and then the height is higher. 2, 3. And we can't quite see what we've done. But that's what we've got now. We have some blocks there. But what next? Margin on these guys needs to be some value, 0. By creating a negative margin, trying to force these to come up. And are they not as tall? Maybe they're not as tall. High, which was hidden by our repeating gradient, 120. This is the other part of a flex, which is there's a certain amount of stretchiness that's occurring. And that is just not working. So what do I need to do to move those into place? If I don't set the margins, then I think I need to do something. If the margins don't do anything, what I need to do is a translate. Let's say X. Translate X. Translate of 0 minus 10 pixels. So that's going to reliably move these things, because we're escaping from flex land. Flex is very powerful, but also is very opinionated around the sizes of things. And actually, I wonder if maybe I just had the height wrong. No, flexes definitely have an effect there that we don't like. Can I use margins for that purpose? Margin minus 22, 0. Does that do the same thing? Not quite. So we're going to undo that margin. Okay, we're still not done, mind you. But if I put a background using my Swiss Army knife with 75% round, and then orange, 0, and at value at, what is that, 220 pixels, down 100 and, well, we had height of 130, 150 pixels, and then use a background position. 80, 70, 60. So the at value there is too small. 6, 7, 8. And this needs to be a little bit more. Oh, we need to be down 10 pixels. And that's another solution to this problem. A little less elegant, but a nice exercise in showing off some of the features of Flex and some of the reasons why for a task like this you wouldn't do this. It's actually nice when you've got lots of blocks of text, let's say, for them to spread out and take advantage of the space. Where this, we really want a very specific layout. We might have trouble at some screen sizes if we wanted super precision, which is a reason to use grid, which is you say, well, here's exactly what I want. Lots of caveats in usage of Flex and Grid. There are way more options than I'm showing here. I'm not using the Flex keyword. I'm just doing a display flex and flex wrap. I'm not talking about basis. I'm not talking about default justification or item placement or any of those things. There's a lot of different things you can do. So for anything that I said that sounds like an irrevocable truth about Flex. There's more to it. There's more to it, and it's worth investigating. If you got questions about those things, you might be interested in it. I hold on the indie web. I hold what I call front-end study hall. If you go Google for front-end study hall, you can find our events. We do them every 2 weeks. It's pretty fun. You can come and ask questions, and we can play with this stuff. It's a way to do it, right? Ultimately, the way to learn to make web pages, see what you run into, rather than bang your head against the wall, talk it through, have a buddy. It's pretty great. Anyway, thanks for watching these. These are from June, like I said, 14th, 15th, and 16th of 2024. I'm continuing to make progress against all this backlog and learning a little bit every time I do it. Hope you have a great day, and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.